Welcome back, everybody.
Hello, happy Thursday.
Happy Thursday. I'm Cindy.
I'm Paige.
I'm Jay.
And this is Mom's the Word, where Mom knows best.
Or at least she's trying her best.
She's a little unsure still.
I think we're all unsure as we try to figure it out. But Jay's just fun to have in here the full time with us. I think it flows easier.
Yeah.
Let it flow.
Yeah, then we don't got to stop the segment. And we like to hear what you have to say as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And this is just like what generally chats sound like around us whenever all three of us are together. And oh my gosh, can I just mention that if we interrupt each other, we don't care.
Oh, no, we don't care.
Yes, no.
We all have ADHD. Sometimes we just splurt things out like we don't mean to, and
Yeah.
nobody cares.
I'm like, shut
I don't
the
think
heck
of it
up,
as, like,
Jay. You've been
y'all-
talking. I'm just kidding. No, I don't ever think about it. I'm just like, oh, that's a good point. Let me talk on it. Let me talk on it.
I don't ever. I think that if you were around somebody you didn't fully feel comfortable with, you would maybe notice.
Let me say that.
They just think that like we cut everybody.
Oh, I don't even
all
notice.
the time. You know, specifically Jay. I think they're
We cut
always
Jay
like,
off?
Jay never gets a word in.
Oh, sometimes he's really quiet, though. And I'm like, who are you over there?
Person.
First of all, she is right where we just like shoot the shit like this all the time. But I can tell y'all, Jay is level 10 off of the camera, and on the camera, he's like a level 8.
These lights do not.
Yo, you are. Like, he changes when he's on the podcast. He's like, hello, everybody. And I'm like, that is not how you are.
I don't think that y'all don't let me talk or interrupt me. I don't feel that, so that's not my truth, right?
Yeah.
And I feel like
Not his truth.
No.
Not his.
and I feel like usually people are probably what annoys you is probably what you're getting impacted in your own personal life, and so
I love that he always says this.
Yes, and so you potentially have someone in your life who cuts you off, and so you're very sensitive to those things. Or that's just my opinion.
We're all very
on those
outgoing.
things. We are.
Loud.
yeah.
And our minds do run at 100 miles per hour, and it happens a lot. And so sometimes I have to be like, oh shit, hold on.
Like, if they listen long enough, like how we'll switch conversations.
Yes.
Like, they'll be like, what? Weren't we just talking about something else?
Ben
And I'm
can
like,
attest to
I'm so
this.
sorry, you guys.
we get off on a tangent.
My husband will be like, what? You just talked about 5 different things. And I'm like, you should just hear us talking.
Yeah.
We will literally roll on. Oh my gosh.
better be glad we have a certain timeline to follow.
Yeah, for real.
It would be a mess. We'd be all over the place if it was all willy nilly. So. Okay, Jay.
Alrighty, guys. So today I'm going to share a letter. I got a letter in the mail.
A real paper letter
A real paper letter, and it was on a notebook.
at your P.O.
Like a
box.
school notebook.
Aww.
Yeah. And so
You forgot the letter,
I
so that
forgot
was-
the letter, but Kyler sent me a picture. Praise the Lord for social media, or for the power of cell phones. And so he sent me a picture of the letter. But look, see, they ripped it out of their notebook, out of their what do you call these notebooks?
Spiral.
Bound.
Spiral notebooks. Yeah. And so
Folded like a note.
it was. So I got it at the PO box because we have our PO box.
You stole my P.O. box.
I hijacked our PO box.
I'll hear him on live like, just send it to my P.O. box. And I'm just like, and then he'll be like, Chris, did you go to the P.O. box today?
Listen, I will say that if any company's ever sending me PR, I always say, this is mine and Cindy. So if you want to send Cindy some, feel free to just
And they have.
go to the
and they
same
have.
place.
I just think it's so funny.
So I got
Actually,
a letter.
a good move for to share a P.O. box.
Yeah, it's
I
not
mean, yeah,
bad.
'cause it's-
Y'all are so close together. It makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, to save money. That's like on memberships, Netflix,
Bitches.
Hulu, all that good stuff.
I live 30 minutes away.
It's good.
You could share with us too, though. That's what I'm saying. though.
Fuck,
Like,
I would. I'm not gonna drive 30 minutes.
you wouldn't. I would see you. Just like
see- yeah.
he doesn't go drive there. I go and I'll pick it up, and then like the next time I see him, I'll just deliver it.
I live further.
Do you even
though.
have a P.O.
It's
box?
not as no.
No.
I used to, but then I was like, I don't want.
Well, I was gonna end mine, and then Jay was like, "Yes, he gets a lot more
Surprise.
things than I get." So, thank you. Ever sent us something? Thank you so much. I appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you.
If you ever want to
don't
send
have
her something, which y'all have sent her something to my PO box before.
Yes,
that
I
cup
have.
somebody made for
Yeah,
us.
yeah, I did. I got a mama couple.
You can send it there too. Okay, guys, it's just all of our PO box now.
You know what
I just pay for it.
What?
What?
I do this sometimes to Kyler. I was gonna yell at the top of my lungs, "Don't interrupt me." I do that sometimes to Kyler. Like we'll talk about something, and then just to be dramatic, like I'll yell. He's like, "Are you serious?" I was like, "No, I'm just playing with you."
You should have did it.
I would
We're so sorry. You may continue now. Talking about my PO box.
So anyway, so it's really, really cute. It's actually folded and everything. It was very, very sweet. And so I'm gonna read it to you guys. I'm gonna blur out their name and some other stuff, but for the most part, it's a really good letter. It says, "Hola, Señor Lares." So, that's so sweet. Señorito. Señorito is for younger. Señor is for more older. type vibes. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just playing. I haven't actually watched a lot of your content, but I figured I'd write you anyways since you have a PO box on your IG, and I really have been meaning to talk to someone who is like me, you know? My name is Blank. I'm 18, about to graduate high school, and I'm gay. I've never personally met a family with two dads, so I found your videos particularly heartwarming. I feel like all I hear online, at least, is that kids need a mom, and it's hard for me because I want to marry a man someday and adopt kids. And I was wondering if you had any thoughts on that because you're such a great parent. Thank you. I try my best. And I can see all the cooking, which is like literally every man or woman's dream when they have kids, is to be able to support them on that level. I don't even know what my situation will be if I have kids or don't, but I like seeing that being gay doesn't have to change anything. That's why representation matters, and I do think you give the LGBTQ plus community a giant ray of sunshine, and I hopefully putting out the content you do. Enjoy putting out the content that you do. So thanks so much for being visible. I guess what scares me is that my kids will get teased for having two dads, or they will really be missing something by not having a mom. Okay. I'm hoping maybe you could give me some insight there. I hope that I'm not offensive to ask, because obviously I don't think those things when I see a family like yours. I just really see a loving environment. I am female to male, and I know gender doesn't really mean anything, but with how things are going in the United States, I feel like I can't escape the negative things people say about gay people, even though I know, sorry, I just don't want to cry. Oh, Lord, so I laugh when things get a little emotional. Okay. Even though they're not true. Thank you for your time, for reading all that. If you don't find time to respond by mail, it's too time consuming. You're more than welcome to email me or DM me, link. You're a hardworking dad, so I won't be offended if you don't have time to respond. I wish you the best experience. Un abrazo gigante, which means a big hug. So, Lord Almighty. So I would just say that this letter is amazing. I think that there's a lot to unpack in the letter. So yeah, what do y'all think?
First of all, like, that's really nice.
Yeah,
that
that's what I was thinking.
Seeing your family right away, and I was just
feel
like,
safe.
wow, I love that. Yeah, like, it
Felt safe enough to be like,
yes.
do you feel fulfilled? Like, is
Yeah.
everything okay?
That was like really nice, and how young he is, realizing like, I don't know how my life's gonna look, but I like the way yours looks and how proud you are of your family. That was really nice.
Especially, and like you said, representation matters.
It does.
It really does, because, and I know that they say like, that you have to protect children from many, many things in our world, unfortunately. But I think that representation of love matters, and love comes in all forms, different shapes and sizes.
Yeah, I agree. I would say that some of the concerns that he brought up in the letter are very valid.
Yeah.
Right. So obviously,
Probably things you felt.
yeah. So it's amazing that he can see our lives and kind of say, oh, that's something that I want, right? That's one of the reasons why we do social media, is to show that families are different. Your normal is not my normal. In our three tables, her normal, even though y'all are straight or, well, bisexual, but you know what I mean? In heterosexual relationships, your normal is not the same, right? And so my normal is completely different, and people don't understand that because people will say, oh, that's not normal. Who's normal?
What
Who
is
set the normal expectation?
Right.
If that makes sense. And so there is that where they'll be very hesitant. And so we did start social media to show that there are different families, new modern families, you might say. And that's okay. We're all different, and it's okay to be different. It's okay for all of our families and our normals to be completely different. That shouldn't be something that divides us, but it currently does.
Yeah.
Excuse me. The second thing is, it is when I was a young man, a young boy, just a young schoolboy, there wasn't a lot of gay people on TV.
I was gonna say, when you were 18, who were you looking at?
It was like
you know?
in the 2010s. Just kidding. In the 80s or 90s, right? There wasn't a lot of gay people online. And if it was very stereotypical of what a gay person was at the time, but there wasn't a lot of gay families, commercials with gay families, magazines. That just wasn't a thing. And honestly, when I was young, I stayed away from the gay people. There was only like a couple in the small town that I lived, and I kind of stayed away from them because I was scared that they were going to out me or something. Right. So representation definitely matters. It doesn't have to be just LGBTQ plus. Skin color. Everyone deserves different body sizes. Everybody deserves to open up a TV, a magazine, and see themselves in someone else.
Yeah.
And it shouldn't be where it's one size fits all. I feel like sometimes in magazines and TVs, it's always the same stereotypical American family, but that's just not true. America was built on a lot of different races and ethnicities, right? I mean, first of all, we started with Native Americans. They were the ones who were here.
Yeah.
Who were here. Everybody else came here, immigrated here, and are now here, right? But realistically, that's why we do social media, is to kind of show our perspective that we're just a normal family.
Yeah.
And we do everything that most families do. It's not really that much difference. Like,
Right.
oh, they're gay, I wonder what they do. We still have breakfast, we still have lunch, we still have dinner, we still pray.
Everybody takes a bath.
Family activities. Yeah, it's just the dynamic is completely different. And I think that's okay. And so I love that he saw our content and that he sent a note. I probably will keep this letter forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally in my little accomplishments of social media, that will always be something that I will keep and I will show my kids when they're older.
Because you're making a difference.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you're seeing it in real time.
Yeah. And Jay always says like he is a political statement in himself. And so just him showing up on social media can be controversial, which is a sad reality.
That's very
But
true.
you're strong enough to do so and show people that you can have all of these children. You can be in a gay relationship that is just as normal as my relationship is. And to not be afraid to do so, even though every day you put yourself out there for people to judge how you're raising your family. But in his letter, he said he's afraid that his children would be teased. What do you think about that? Because you now have children who are school aged, and they are going to see people who say like correcting them, like, "Oh, this is Mother's Day for your mother." Like they're going to have to hit these things in school where they're going to have a reality that, oh, I have two dads, or someone's going to say like, "Oh, your mom can bring you," and they're like, "I don't have a mom to bring me." You know, what is your reaction to that?
So I think that children will probably tease my children. To say that my children will not be teased for having two dads, I would think is ridiculous, right? Because even straight people's kids get teased.
Yeah.
I
I'm
was about to say
sure
they're gonna get
people of
teased
marginalized
either way.
communities are definitely going to be teased as well. My kids, I'm always going to be like, scram!
Yes, she
Yeah,
is. No, literally.
Amor would
Literally.
not accept that. And the thing that we will do with our children is we have empowered them and will continue to empower them for their voice and to stand up for what is right. And so we always say, if someone is being mean to you, you say, please stop. If they don't listen to you, go get your teacher, or go get me and I'll get your teacher, whatever we have to do.
Yeah.
Right. And so we're teaching our children to be so strong and confident in who they are that they're going to not allow someone
Yeah.
who doesn't like them just because their normal is different or they have two dads.
You're just preparing them for those types of
Yes.
encounters instead of like shadowing them from it, because it's going to happen.
Exactly. I mean, it'll happen, and I won't be able to be with them 24/7, and so they will have to eventually deal with that. We've all had to deal with uncomfortable situations, and we have to feel empowered enough that they will be able to stand up for that. And then they also have to know confidently enough that at home they're going to be, what do you call it? Like, what am I trying to say? So like, say for example, you know how like you can have your point of view, and then at home you're safe as well,
Yes.
because we're going to defend them as much as anything, right? And so we'll be there to back them up and to help them feel safe.
Even if the
and
world is
everything like
cruel
that.
to them,
At our
they come
home, it's not. It's
it
like
is
their
not.
safe spot.
Yes, I
right. Because
understand.
unfortunately, sometimes your first bully is your family
Yep.
or someone in your life, and it's very unfortunate. And most of the time, when children are bullies at school, it's because that's a learned behavior.
Yeah.
Don't ask me. Ask your PhD. Ask your children, professionals. Most of the time, those are learned behaviors that they go and take out into school, either because they don't like something, they're mimicking that, or they're getting bullied at home, so then they go and bully others to release that because they don't know how else to process that.
Yeah.
So our goal is for them to feel so empowered and so safe at home that they know if they pop off, that it's going to be there to pop off with them or to stand in the decision.
Yeah.
So from that part, I know it'll happen. You talked about like Mother's Day. That's something that happens. I remember when Grayson started going to school, they had a Mother's Day activity. And this was actually when we had him in daycare. The lady just adjusted the activity to just change the verbiage to dads. And so some teachers will do like Parents' Day or something like that.
Yeah.
They'll do the same activity, everything different, just what they write on the paper or whatever. They've tailored it to our family,
Yeah.
which was very much appreciative because some teachers would not advocate for that, and there are some teachers who are very thoughtful to say, hey, this child is normal. It doesn't mean like, oh, you can't sit here today, Becky, because you got two moms.
Yeah.
And this is Father's Day, so go sit your ass over here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's some teachers are very inclusive, which has always been our experience. And so on Mother's Day, we've gotten little activities that the kids have made, and it was just Happy Parents' Day or thank you for being an amazing dad. Very simple. It doesn't have to be super complicated. And it's not to say like, okay, class, one moment. She has two daddies, so we're gonna have to change her thing
Yeah.
because she don't have
No.
XYZ. It's not that.
Right.
It can be very simple, but I feel like sometimes people complicate things when it's really
Doesn't have
not
to be.
that hard.
Yeah.
But that happens. The other part of that letter was if I feel that my kids are missing out because they don't have a mom. I feel like that stereotype also comes with the role to say that this is what women do and this is what men do. So people see me cooking a lot, and so they'll say, oh, you're the woman in the relationship. And I'm like, no, we both have two wieners. We're both men. Like, it's really not that. We're both men, right? And men can cook and clean. Women can be outdoorsy, clean, fix the car. We can all do everything. if
I'm
we
the
really
one in
set
our house
minds
that
to.
builds the furniture.
Yeah,
100%.
you know what I mean? But people have this stereotypical thing is that only moms can stay at home. Only moms can cook. You should only teach your daughters to cook and clean, not your boys.
Oh, no.
And that is not true, right? There's nothing realistically in a traditional household of a mom and dad that the dad cannot do that the mom can do, or vice versa.
Right.
So in our family, we just tackle things on what we like. I went to culinary school, so I love to cook. It's my love language. So yes, I do cook a lot more. Kyla went to cosmetology school, so he's the one that does our nails. He does our hair. He does all of that, and we just work with what we need to do. When we're cleaning, we divide and conquer. What he likes to do, what I like to do. I don't like to do laundry. Kyla does the laundry.
Yeah.
I clean the kitchen, right? We meet in the middle. And so realistically, I don't think that my children are going to miss a lot because in heterosexual relationships where there's a mom and a dad, there's a lot of children that are lacking a lot from having that two-parent household. The parents might be disconnected. They're not really engaged. The dad doesn't believe in feelings and talking and everything. So you could have a dad and not really be embraced or feel close to your dad. Same thing with a mom.
You can.
So what is...
What?
So there's really no difference, right? A child just needs to be loved, respected, heard, needs a safe environment, and that can be provided by two dads, two moms, one dad, one mom, a grandma, an aunt. The caretaker can be completely different.
Yeah. And surrounding, go ahead, Paige, sorry.
As an outsider who has seen your family, your children are not missing out on anything at all. They are loved. They feel safe. They come, if they need something, they come straight to their dads. They know that they can. They have comfort. They have toys and beds and every single thing that you would see, every single thing that you would see in a heterosexual family It's the
There's no-
exact same.
No difference besides there's two dads.
Yeah,
there.
no, literally. And I'll tell you, Jay's kids are some of the most well-behaved, polite, sweet children. And I don't think that it's for any reason other than the fact that they feel loved
That's
and
right.
they've been taught how to behave in certain
Yeah.
places and ways in a safe form because they're never like scared. Like it's not like oh they're so quiet at that table because they're scared to pipe up. No, they're just like comfortable
Yeah.
in their space. And so I obviously never had children whenever I was married to a woman, but it was always a worry because I was married to a more butch presenting lesbian, and so when we would go into public, like we would get stared at, especially being in Texas, we would get stared at, and I can remember being concerned for safety just alone and thinking like oh my gosh my kids will probably be bullied for this too, and having that worries. It's a valid worry
It is,
because
yeah.
unfortunately our world can be really ugly to things that they don't understand, but I think that it mainly comes from not understanding things because a lot of people have never even met a gay person.
Yeah.
They just see them online. They've never met a gay person before, and they have this preconceived idea of what being gay means. It actually means nothing more than you have a different sexual preference than the person next to you. And frankly, I don't give a shit what you do in your bedroom. It's none of my business. I'm not fucking you, so why would I care?
Yeah, it's
You're
your
not fucking any kids, right? That's the only way that it would be my business if you were a pedophile. So otherwise, like, I don't care. Don't fuck animals or children, please. But you know, otherwise, like, if you want to suck a dick, suck a dick. Like, who cares? So I think that unfortunately, a lot of opinions are taught from the people that you're around. And if you are around people who refuse to see outside of their own box, you will never know anybody other than who you already know.
Yeah.
And I think that's what makes the world so beautiful is knowing people in every different walks of life.
Yep.
I have sat down at a table with a felon. I have sat down at a table with a gay man, with a gay woman, with a black person, with a Mexican, with immigrants, with people who were born in the United States. I love people in all shapes and forms, and I think that family comes in all shapes and forms too, and that you can have a mom and a dad and have less love than I've seen in the home that you have. And I also think that like there's a certain maturity to how you and Kyler parent too. I will say my dad was very emotionally unavailable, like crying to him or like telling him anything emotionally, like absolutely not. He was not the like, baby, come here, let me hold you, like it's gonna be okay type of dad. He was very stern, very kind of cold. Just I call him hard. I tell him all the time, like you were just a hard dad. Like
Yeah.
Mark is a soft dad, is what I say, because like if Juliet crawled in his lap and was like, "Daddy, you know this guy hurt me," he'd be like, "I'll kill him, baby."
Yeah.
You know, whereas my dad was
That
like,
generation
well,
is very hard.
yeah,
Like my dad,
very
your
hard.
dad.
And
like,
I
everybody.
know my dad had it very different. My dad was also adopted. He was raised by his grandmother. He was working by the time that he was 15. My aunt is albino, so he was in a lot of fistfights in high school because people would pick on my aunt and like make fun of her. And so he would fight a lot, as well as his dad died whenever he was really, really young, like whenever he was a baby. So he was kind of the man of the house, as he was also the older brother. And so I know that that's how he was raised. And he had a lot of unlearning to do. I think the issue that I find with that is the unapologetic side, where it's like that's just the way it is and there's no ability to learn otherwise. That's the only frustrating part, I think, but I get that with everybody, like everybody. I think it ultimately boils down to empathy, because it's like, why can't you, if you are so privileged that you feel you don't even have to put yourself into anybody else's shoes, you know what I mean? Because it's like, what ultimately is the harm in you taking 5 children out of a horribly broken system and offering them a healthy home where they are bathed every night, they are fed every night, they are happy, they know that they are loved, they are celebrated. You know what I mean? I think that people unfortunately have blinders on whenever they look at 2 moms or 2 dads, and they think that because it is not what they're used to, it can't possibly be functional. And it is.
Right.
And it is.
There are so many heterosexual homes that are not functional.
There's nothing that Jay and Kyler do differently than that I do as a mother, besides the fact that I have a period
Yeah.
and they do not.
Lucky you, bitch.
And he is raising his daughters to be strong women, and they're surrounded by strong ass women as well. And if you ever had that a question, he asks us because like he's learning as a parent just like we are. And so like he is also surrounding his kids with powerful people of all kinds. And so like I'm going to be there for them girls forever, all those kids,
I think
your mom, your sister. And so that's important, but there's nothing that I do that's different than they do.
Yeah, I think like even if when we come to, I will say that we fostered a older teen. Well, she was an emergency placement, and we went to Walmart. And honestly, I did not know what tampons to get her. I was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And so I just called our family. Right, I had a friend, and I called my sister, and my sister answered first, and she's like, "Hey, this is what I think is best.
Yeah.
If we don't know, we will ask."
right.
It's very simple. Like even if it was a straight couple and you didn't know, you would just ask.
just ask.
Find
Yep.
out what you need to find out, and then that's it. It's not that hard. We had a situation where Amor was in ballet, and in the dressing rooms, dads were not allowed.
Oh,
Right, and we're two dads, and so we didn't get offended. We weren't trying to fight to get back there because I get it,
Yeah.
right? And so what did I do? We asked Grandma Terry to step in and get Amor ready, and Amor loved it. Grandma Terry loved it, and we honestly, it kind of gave me a little bit of less anxiety because I was like, I have to get her ready, help her, and then I'm not gonna get there to see like her walking on stage, and I really wanted that. And so honestly, it allowed me to kind of chill for a second and get situated, and then see Amor come out on stage with her thing. So honestly, I thought it was amazing. But little things like that, that's what you have a village to do for. And right, like I'm sure if it was two lesbian couples and they weren't able to go there, I'm sure they have a brother, an uncle, a friend, someone that could step in. So it's really not
Another parent on the
that
team.
serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And here's what I'll say to you, your question, saying like to protect your kids and you're afraid a little bit. I'm going to tell you that there's people like me and like Paige who are in heterosexual relationships that are raising children that will support your children and not make fun of them.
Yep.
Because
That will back them.
all of my children are going to be very include other children. I am trying my best to raise kind kids that are not going to hurt you and not going to hurt your kids. So just know that there's parents out there like us who are trying our damnedest.
It's more now than
Yes.
ever before, too.
Because it's going to start with us.
Yeah,
It's going to start with our kids at home. The biggest work we're ever going to do is in our own homes. And the kids that I'm putting out to the world, I'm hoping, I'm praying that they're going to be kind to y'all.
And it's not hard to teach your children to be kind to differences.
And
in people.
empathetic,
And that
yeah.
can be because they have two dads. That can be because they're heavier set. That can be because their skin is brown and yours is white. There are differences in people everywhere.
Yeah.
And all it takes is making sure that your children know that it's you're supposed to love
Yeah.
people of all
are.
different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
People think that it has to be a very deep conversation.
just
Cindy,
gonna
can
say
you
this.
tell
Yeah, I was just gonna
them
say this.
how Bear acts?
Yeah, so I was just going to say this is that it doesn't have to be as big as people think it needs to be.
You don't have to make a big deal. You shouldn't make
None
a
of
big
it
deal out of it.
Anything that's uncomfortable topic that comes up should just feel like another average topic. For instance, Bear, he was 7, maybe 6.5 when I met Jay, and he has 2 dads. And Bear said, "Oh, where's Jay's?" Or he said something about Jay's wife or something. And I said, "Oh no, Kyler's Jay's husband." And he's like, "Oh, he has a husband?" And I was like, "Yep, they just love each other, and those are all their 5 kids." And he's like, "Okay, cool." And then we see I think we're in downtown Dallas or something, and we see a flag, and I always joke to Jane, I'm like, I'm an ally, because I support the gay community. And Bear's like sees a flag, and he's like, "What's an ally?" And I said, "Oh, it's just that I support that whoever they want to love, they get to love. That is it. I support everybody who loves each other." And I said, that flag represents that you can love anybody that you want to. And that was it. And I just moved on with my conversation.
That's really all it takes.
I do not make a big deal out of anything. He's never gone past that. He now knows he has, he's 2 daddies and 5 children. Actually, just recently, he just found out, officially that all of Jay's kids were adopted. He didn't fully recognize that. He just thought they have 5 children themselves. And, he knows that they come from a woman's body, but he didn't fully want to ask those questions. And he's like, "Oh, Jay adopted all 5 of them?" And I was like, "Yep, just like, Fox is adopted." And I just don't make it a big deal because they're going to ask.
Yeah.
You just make it like it's a normal conversation.
That's
People-
the whole thing,
Yes.
though, is that your kids don't know it's not normal, and unless you put that doubt into their head, they're not going to think it's not normal. Like for me, I talk about this. I talk about this period whenever it comes to like my political point on drag queens. Whenever I was younger, my mom was a bartender at the only gay bar in our very small town, and I spent the first 4 years, I mean, every day, every night, hanging out with the drag queens in the dressing room. Like they'd be putting on their makeup and things because I wasn't allowed on the bar floor. So I would sit in the back or in the little office, and I didn't think anything of it. I was just hanging out with them, and they were funny. They would teach me how to Vogue. They would put on their makeup and say silly things, and they just like babied me. And it was not like, in my brain, I did not think like, oh, I'm hanging out with drag queens. But I can remember my dad was furious whenever he found out that that is where I primarily was. He was so angry, and I always said like, well, no kid deserves to be in a bar, but he would always point out, he was like, well, you shouldn't have been around drag queens. That's not normal for a child. And I personally, as somebody who lived it, was never ever in any sort of danger around those men, and frankly never felt that way. That's not to say that I couldn't have been, but I want you to understand that there is danger in every single person, whether they are gay, whether they are drag queen, whether they are heterosexual. It really genuinely doesn't matter. If they had the intent to harm, it doesn't matter what their sexuality is. And I did not, as a child, become scarred because I saw men in makeup. I just thought it was normal. I was like, oh, well, they're just drag queens. And I'll tell you, I love to be a drag king. Love. Whenever I went on my best friend Steven's bachelor party, I dressed up. We call him Paul. I dressed up as Paul. I have videos of it.
Paul and Gemma.
So funny.
I wore shorts and a button up, and I danced. I had a hat, and I was entered into a male dancing contest, and I had the time of my fucking life. I did it again at the reception for the wedding because the guys loved it so much, and we just had a good ass time because it's just silly good fun. There's nothing weird about it, but I think that there can be weird things placed into it.
Everywhere, though.
Everywhere.
Yes.
Everywhere. And I think
Even at
that's
church.
the point. Yeah, everywhere. Everywhere, period. Everywhere. Even at church.
Yeah.
I think that people think that, like, say, for example, with Cindy's situation with Bear, they think that all of a sudden she has to explain the sex part.
Oh, no.
Oh, well, they don't have sex the way that men and women do. They, it doesn't have to be sexual, but for some reason, the conversation always goes to more perverse or darker than what it really is.
You're right.
It's just having a conversation like, oh, they're two daddies, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
And one day, as he gets older, and he does have that question,
Yes.
we will answer it right then and there. But we're gradually just teaching our children to just accept whoever's, around us. And if you make it a big deal, they're going to question you even more. And not that the questions are bad, they're wonderful, but I just feel like we just need to be straightforward with our kids. Like they're going to see,
out a history book.
no, they're going to see gay people everywhere instead of them being like, there's some gay people.
And
It's
they
just
are
like-
going to see gay people.
Yes,
Gay people have
right.
the right to exist.
Yes.
Just because you're uncomfortable with it doesn't mean that they're not going to exist. There was a time that people were uncomfortable around black people. It wasn't
Interracial
acceptable
couples.
then,
Interracial
and,
couples,
right?
yes.
And they still get shit for it. I have friends, Duke and Lonnie, and they still get shit because she is a white woman, and it's like he's in love with her. I just don't understand why people are so frustrated by differences, and to the point that they're like, "That's not right."
Yeah.
How would you know what's right
Yeah.
and wrong?
I know. Yeah.
I think that as your children get older, the conversations will get more complex.
Absolutely.
Right? The conversation that you're having with a 3-year-old is not the same as a 15-year-old, 18-year-old. So as it goes and goes more, we will have more complex conversations
Their
with our
understanding
children.
is
Their
better.
understanding is better. And so you start building more upon that, but it doesn't have to be very
No.
complicated. Or
And they see it at their own time. So like I hang out with Jay, I wasn't gonna be like, hey, by the way, he's two daddies. Like before you meet somebody,
gay.
let them and do it on their own, Like once you notice, like, oh, that's where's his wife? No, it's just his husband. That's it. I'm over it. But I feel like when I was younger, and I don't know if you felt this way too, Paige, like you would hear people, older people, they would say like, oh, you can't hang out with them because you're going to turn gay or they're going to teach you to be gay. I'm thinking like, I'd have been around a lot of gay people, guys. I would have already went
It's
over
very
Maybe
interesting
that's
because these heterosexual couples are having gay children. So then where did they fail?
No,
What is the situation
These
there?
homophobic couples are having
Yeah,
gay
you know what I
children.
mean?
Okay,
So it's like these people say that you're going to turn gay by having parents or there's a different agenda or by hanging out with them. But it's like some gay people I had a mom and a dad, right? It was nothing that they did. This is just who I am, right? So I don't understand that reasoning only when it comes to somebody else's family.
Yeah. No, that always was, I was like, what? They're going to teach me to be gay? No.
There's so many things that people bitch about, though, whenever it comes to relationships, and they think, like, oh, they're so different. Like, Mark and I are 13 years apart, and sometimes I get comments like, oh, I thought that was her dad.
Yeah.
Like, there's no damn way you thought that was my dad. You lying sack of shit. Like, whatever. Like, it's just people pointing. It's not like he's 80, and I'm some hot 20-something.
If he was, it's okay.
Love comes in all shapes.
Little sugar baby.
Right.
All shapes and sizes.
Been there, done
Yes.
that.
I'm trying really hard.
Wait, how was
She's
it?
trying to do not the Gen Z heart. It's your
It's so
pointer,
cute, I can't do it.
your pointer, and then your middle. It's like do the peace sign, and then crinkle it.
Mine, it looks
We're all trying to make
one of my
hearts
fingers
right
is more
now.
crinkled.
I have a lot of control with these two fingers.
bet you do.
So I do. Sometimes these.
I have a lot of control with these two fingers. Both hands. My two fingers. I prefer both.
I am multi-talented.
Anyways, you guys,
Or this one. For anybody who's not watching, I just put a pinky out. We're just pretending to finger
honestly, if you
people.
were going to teach me, come on, I'm ready to switch sides.
There's multiple things I could teach you.
Y'all would have already rubbed off on me. I would have another girlfriend.
Yeah, you would definitely be gay by now.
Yeah. We're gonna
Wait,
make-
no, weren't you a swinger, quote unquote?
swinger.
Yeah, supposedly. This is not real, in case you're wondering. This is a rumor that she
Start
was
rumor
a
about
swinger.
me. That me and Chris were swinging.
I'm pretty sure we would have definitely fucked by now if that was the truth.
Don't tell them.
I'll
I'm
record.
leaning towards it now.
Jay's in the corner
I don't
watching.
know. Just some of these conversations don't have to be very complicated.
Yeah.
I will say that to people or to gay little children that haven't came out of the closet yet, it's good that there's representation out there, because when I was a kid there wasn't that many out. I will say that for me as a child, my mom and dad separated when I was in kindergarten, so my mom did have two gay friends. One of them actually was trans, and she lived on our street. She actually still lives on that street where we used to live, and the other one was our hairdresser. He did our hair. And so it was very normal. Like, I saw them and my mom interacted. It was never a conversation. It was never that. But I always strayed away because I thought that they were going to bring me out. Now, my dad was a whole different situation. He condemned gay people every day. He didn't realize that he was condemning me every day when he did that. So I did grow up with that notion in my head. And that's where a lot of my religious trauma comes from.
When you came out, did he condemn you?
He did. So when I first came out, I started telling like a couple of friends, and then I didn't tell my mom. But I made friends with a lot of older women, and it's because I was looking to replace my mom, because I wasn't sure if my mom was going to accept me 100%. So I was like, well, I got another mom on backup or something. Honestly,
my
like dead
God, that's
serious.
so sad.
My mom to this day would say, "You pushed me away, or you wouldn't talk to me or anything." I'm like, yeah, because I didn't know if you were going to backstab me and disown me. So I had to protect myself. But it was so
it's so
interesting.
scary to come out and say that. Like, it's not just your parents you're telling; it's the whole world. Because once you say it out loud, everybody knows.
And then you see people's real true colors when
Yeah, you do.
say something like that.
I'll never forget when I changed my Facebook status to say that I was dating a girl. I'll never forget it. The comments, some people were like, "Wait, really?" And I was like, "Yeah."
It can be your closest
Really?
friends that will just flip on you real quick.
Oh, absolutely.
blood.
I
The
did.
blood that
I
runs
had
through your
very
veins.
close friends that were like, "I'm sorry, but I just like can't support this." Like, I don't. Even family, my own dad will still to this day. Like, I'll be like, "Dad, you absolutely did not, like, you straight up just didn't want anything to do with me whenever I was with women." And he will be like, "Well, that's not true," which, yes, the fuck it is. But sidely, he will say things like, "Well, yeah, I don't mind gay people. I just don't want it to be my daughter." I'm
That's
like,
a
"Well,
very big thing.
yeah, then you do."
Big thing.
It's a
Yeah.
very big thing
Yeah.
where people will say, "Oh, I love gay people, but just not in my family."
Yeah.
It's I think you're not really an ally.
Then you're not really an ally. You like them over there,
Yes.
situationally, in their box where you think they belong.
Yeah, it happened in our family. One of our family members was very supportive of me, very nice, or alleged support, very nice. And then when it happened to their side of their family, it would not go very nice. And I told my mom, I know where I stand, and I'm standing over here with my cousin, not with them, because that's not okay. You know, so I don't know.
I think when it's a parent too, and they have those, I think that was the first time I realized that my dad didn't love me unconditionally, because that's what it actually boils down to. Is it's like, do you love me for who I am, not for who you want me to be? but for who I am.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, under certain stipulations, I do. If you
Yeah.
act like this, if you be like this, if you're, a white picket fence nursing student who marries a football coach, I'll love you.
Yeah.
But if you're a lesbian who, was medically discharged from the army because you couldn't do it, and you're, living in Houston in somebody's fucking house, renting a room, then you're a loser. And it was like, well, frankly, I did it all by myself and had myself in those situations because I didn't have parental support. And I think that is so sad and such a harsh reality for so many people who do come out of the closet, is that they're afraid that they'll not only lose friends or they'll be talked about by people that are just like associates, acquaintances, peers, but like, what if my parents, what if my siblings, what if my cousin, my favorite aunt,
your family,
what if they,
I mean, allegedly, your family's going to stand by you and support you and blood and blah, blah, blah. That's lies.
It
That's
really
lies. Sometimes
is.
your family will not. Some families
I know
will
your
not love you unconditionally 100% and will literally disown you. My dad did that, and it's not good. So that's why, like with my mom, I stayed away from her. I knew where my dad was going to fall. He made it very clear every day. I knew that one day I was going to have to leave home, leave the city that I lived in. It was a small town anyways. I did not want to live in a small town. I wanted to live in a large town, and I wanted to get away from him because I knew where it was going to stand. My mom, I wasn't sure, and so I was like, well, if she does, good, and if she doesn't, I'm already ready.
Yeah.
And she ended up loving me way more. It wasn't that serious, a conversation. I sent her a letter in a Mother's Day card, and she tried to call me. I didn't answer, and then finally we just talked about, we really didn't talk about it. We just kind of started living life, and I started just acting normal to say, hey, this is who I'm dating, or this is what, and ever since then now we're best friends, right? But unfortunately some people don't have that, and so it can be scary to come out of the closet when you don't have support. I will tell people, if someone was to say, I have nobody, I have nothing, I would say, don't come out of the closet. You have to get a job, hustle, save that money until you're in a safe environment, then come out of the closet.
Okay.
Because what happens is if your family is not going to support you and you come out, there's a lot of homeless youth of LGBTQ plus because of that, because their parents kick them out and disown them and don't support them, and so there is a lot of homelessness in the LGBTQ plus community because of that. So I would say you need to be in a safe environment, have somewhere to go, trusted friends or family that you can really go to, because it can be very unsafe for people to come out in this specific situation, female to male, trans. That's even a more deeper subject, right? Where they might not like you for being part of the LGBTQ plus community, and then you're trans on top of that. That adds a more deeper layer into that relationship, which can complicate it. So I would say, you would have to be very safe in order to be able to come out. I will tell you that in our family, I will never tell my children, like, if I said amor, is there a little boy you like? I won't do that. I will do more inclusive, and people think that this is very hard to do, but I could say, first of all, I don't understand why we have to tell our children at a very young age, oh, you like someone? Do you like them?
no, I'm not doing that.
I don't understand that.
I don't do the whole, oh, you got a boyfriend, or like the babies, like if they make a cute face. No, like, why? Ooh, you're such a flirt.
Like,
My
we're
child's
just
not
flirting.
flirting.
It's nothing like that.
You're perceiving it as flirting, which is fucking weird for you, my dog.
Yeah.
It's like, why do you think a 3-year-old's flirting with you?
Right. I think that if my daughter or son was to come and say, I like somebody, I'd be like, tell me about them.
Yeah.
Very simple. Oh, tell me more. Who is it? Very simple. Oh, it's Ashley. Oh, cool. What does she look like? Who is she? I've never met her. Right? Or if it's one of my sons, I really like him. Oh, cool. Tell me about him. It's very simple, nothing too major. And so I don't believe that. I can say that with firmness. Our children will not come out of the closet. It'll just be normal conversations, and whoever my children love is who they will love.
Yeah, you won't be so in fear anymore. It won't be like, I have a big announcement.
No, there shouldn't be no fucking announcement. There shouldn't be anything else besides, this is who I love and this is who I am. It's very simple, but sometimes people complicate it, and it's very unfortunate.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Jay.
Yeah.
I feel like you're super, inspiring, because you do live out loud, and we thank you for that. And as you can see, you're making difference in a lot of people's lives. And so
I will say that I did say that, for example, like I feel like in the current climate that we are in, it's all political, and we understand it. We're getting bombarded by it now. As
Especially
a
as
social media
creators.
influencer, sometimes I don't want it to consume me. I still have children. I still have emotions. I still get down. I feel the pressure because it's impacting my family. But at the same time, I'm still going to post my normal content because I can't let it consume me. Now, some people have the luxury of not talking about certain things. And it's a privilege. Some people have the privilege that they will never be asked about political things because of who they are and what they look like. Me, on the other hand, I am Mexican and gay, so people automatically just scrolling will see me and say, I don't like him. He voted for Kamala, which I did. And so the concern is that some people can get away with it and will never speak up, never use their platform or anything like that. And I realize that there are people that have a political platform and that's what they are. That's their base. Like Aaron, is it Parnas?
Yes.
Amazing job. Breaking news every 5
Oh
seconds.
my gosh, every 5 seconds.
And so
Every
I understand
That
that their
dude's
content
great.
is there, and people say, "Oh, don't make your content political." I've been getting that a lot, and I tell people I do lifestyle content. This is about my life and who I am, and if I am being impacted by things that are happening in my life, I'm going to speak up on it. So if I pick up the phone and I in that moment am sad because of what's going on or scared of what's going on or anything like that, I'm going to share that.
Yeah.
And if that bothers you, then this is not the page for you.
Yeah.
Respectfully, go find a heterosexual couple of the ethnicity that you want, the color that you want, and you will find that there's 170
plenty.
million people on TikTok that you can go follow. You will find your own corner.
Yeah.
But don't come into my corner and tell me what I should and should not talk about. I'm
Right.
going to talk about my life and what I stand for and whatever is right. What I believe is in right, I'm going to speak up for it. And it's just that simple. And it doesn't have to become political all the time. But if it's in my spirit, I'm going to speak about it. And it's
Same.
just that simple. And I think that people should do that. Now, some people have privilege where they will never be asked because of what they look like. People will assume or they just won't be asked. I can tell you when I've gone on live since the inauguration day, every question will ask me about what's happening with the Latino community, with the gay community. I will get flooded with comments. And so if I ignored it, they would probably think that I'm okay with that. And it's like, I'm not. But at the same time, I don't want it to consume my life 100% because when you are on social media, you should be represented. You should see people like you. But also when you scroll social media, this is a tip I will give you that I do. The people that you follow, they should teach you something. They should inspire you. They should make you feel good. They should take your mind away from the craziness. I don't scroll. I am on my phone all the time because it is business. It is money. But when I finally get an hour at the end of my day after my kids are sleeping, after a 12-hour day, and I want to scroll, honestly, I don't want to scroll a lot of heavy stuff. I want to laugh. I want to see cooking stuff. I want to break away mentally from what reality is. And so I'm not going to let it consume me 100%, but there will be a trickle of that because it is what it is, you know?
And it's an important matter right now on our table. And unfortunately, when hateful voices are loud, loving voices have to be even louder. You know? And I think that that's ultimately what we all stand for is just love and inclusivity of everybody. And that's, I think, why it's become so difficult because everything is so political right now and it feels like everything is so divided. But I think that a lot of it matters to us and our families as we have disabled children, as gay, if we're even friends with people, you know, like it directly impacts us. And I know specifically with my community, I will flat out say like what I support and what I don't support. And my community has constantly just been like thankful that I'm willing to say it, not afraid to lose followers who disagree. But I think the thing that boils down to it is that like, I don't want you to follow me and think that like I inspire you if you don't even like the things that I personally stand for.
Right.
Because how can I inspire you if every time you look at me, you just get angry?
Yeah.
Right. You know what I mean? So it's like if you're watching people and they frustrate your soul, you need to protect your peace. And it's okay that you don't like everybody. I don't like everybody. The only person I agree with 100% of the time is myself. And sometimes I don't even agree with what that bitch said 2 years ago. So it's like, you know what I mean? It's like you genuinely need to find people that make you feel good and make you feel happy. And if you're following somebody that you're just like, oh, the way that they live is just sick and I just can't even look at it. Why
Let it go,
are you
man.
looking
Let
at
it go. Yeah.
So-
Block, not interested, and keep it moving.
Yeah.
I think that we all have the reason why we came to social media, right? Obviously, I've expressed mine.
That's right.
Find whatever your niche is. What is your point of view? What is it that you're trying to share into the world, and stick to it. You will find a community who will support you for who you are 100%. And the people who understand it, they get it. They have good taste.
Yeah.
The people who don't have good taste. I'm just kidding.
Here's what I'll tell you guys too about like my stance. Y'all know that I voted for Kamala Harris too. I have a lot of very big emotions about everything going on, but I want to remind you that you don't have to be loud to make a point. I am not loud at all when it comes to my beliefs, but you know what they are. You know how I stand, and you know who I would back forever. You don't have to be loud to make a point. The way Paige explains things, although she says what I want to say, she's able to say it that way. And I'm going to say it by inviting you to my
personality.
table, and you're welcome with me anytime, you know? Just stand strong in what you believe always. You don't got to be loud. Just make sure you stand up for yourself and the people that you love, because I think that's important as well. There's a lot of loud people out there. There's a lot. And so just make sure that you're solid in what you believe, because you can be overtaken by a lot of people's opinions on what you should and shouldn't say. And I don't agree with that, because the way that I live my life is through the way that I treat people who I bring into my home. Y'all know that I'm a foster parent that has accepted every child I've ever had, and I surround myself with people who believe what I believe. And so you don't have to be loud. Just because someone's trying to make you be loud, don't be. I will sit in that forever, because sometimes it's okay to shut the fuck up.
Everybody,
Yeah, amen.
everybody is different, and the way that you stand up or speak is completely different. That's the good thing about diversity,
It is.
equity, and
It
inclusion.
is.
That when there's 10 people at the table, all 10 people are going to react and speak and do things completely different. It doesn't mean that one is more valuable than the other, right? It's just we're all different. And so, like, let's say if these two bitches right here are too loud, and she's not, she can help in a different way,
That's
in a
right.
different, make
That's
change in
right.
a different
That's right.
point. And that's about diversity, equity, inclusion. It's not so much that. It's saying let's use our strengths. What is our naturally strengths?
It's your personality.
And how can we use those strengths? So if her strength is not to be in front loud, then what is her strength, and how can she do it from the back? That's
right.
And so
We all
not
are a
everyone
part of
has
it.
to be front and center presenting. There's people, there's a whole crew in the back that is making things work. So everyone is a little bit different, and you don't have to contribute the way that other people, you don't have to do things specifically the way you do. I tell people that all the time when I go live or in my videos. You do not have to have the same beliefs as me. That's
right.
I don't care who you voted for unless you sit at my table. And when I say sit at my table, I mean physically sit at my table. In order for you to come into my home and break bread with me, we do have to be aligned. Everybody else, I do not care
Can I
what
say-
you do.
I think that point also people will say, like, when did we become so politically split? And there used to be a time where, you know, if you were a part of the other party, you were capable of having, you know, a civil conversation. It wasn't so heated. For the last 12 years, for the last 3 elections, one of our candidates, this is a personal opinion, one of our candidates I do not feel is presidential or morally acceptable in multiple ways. And that is the difference. 16 years ago, we probably could have had a difference because the candidates were both respectable people that had a presidential personality, held themselves properly, and just had a difference in policy. Right now, it is a major difference in morals and or morals, whatever, how the fuck you want to say it. And
Empathy.
yes, because the thing about it is that, and I'm saying this as somebody who was raised in a very small town, so I also understand that it depends on where you're located in the United States too. You may not understand that here, specifically in Texas, people are fucking mean and they feel very empowered to be hateful towards minorities and diversities and gay people. Because of this election, they almost feel like they are the better human. And so we see it a little differently than you may see it in Washington or, you know, it's somewhere else in the United States. Here, they are a little bit more empowered to be hateful. So sometimes I do get a little fiery with people because I get tired of their shit, because I'm like, especially because specifically it's weaponized with their religion. Most of the time it's like, well, God doesn't believe in that. And it's like, well, if you read the Bible, he loves everybody.
And not everybody worships the same.
That's the truth.
For you to be and saying this is the only religion, this is that. Not everybody worships the same, and everybody should be respected. But it's not.
It's in our Constitution.
Right. I think that it's people can have differences, political views. Like I said, you just won't sit at my table in person.
Yeah.
Outside of
wanna feel
me
safe.
being cordial, I'll be cordial
Yeah.
with anyone and say hi to anybody. But when you come into my inner circle, my inner thoughts, my family's, Kyler's, no, we're not breaking bread together. If we do not align outside of that, I'm going to be nice. It's not going to be like, oh, I don't like you. I'm not going to. No, that's not what it is. But I think that some people, we are talking about basic human rights, and then people are talking about economical things, and it's like,
Yeah.
okay, we can disagree on economics, on
Yes.
policies, all of that, but basic human rights,
We can't
that's the
disagree.
difference. And so that's why it's a little bit different when it's like, oh, you can't disagree politically. Oh, it's not politically, it's morals, it's what's
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
That's the difference.
I can't be friends with somebody that wants my gay friend to not exist.
Yeah.
Who sees my brown children as different.
Right.
Can't do it.
Right. Who thinks my disabled child is not normal and doesn't deserve the same type of inclusion as other children.
Yeah.
I could go on and on with this. There's so many who thinks that an immigrant who is seeking asylum because their country has done horrible things to them and they have entered through our borders legally and they are here seeking asylum and working towards citizenship should be sent back simply because they're different. I'm not talking about criminals. I'm 100% with you. If there's a criminal in our country and they're doing things to our people, send them the fuck home. I'm 100% with you there. But if it is just a hard-working person seeking asylum, I'm sorry, but I disagree. I think that I am so proud of myself whenever you had like your history book out when you were a kid and we learned about slavery and you learned about the few people that would open their home to slaves and hide them, or like Anne Frank.
We would be the homes.
I would be that home. And I'm so proud of myself for knowing that I would be
the
that home for those people
You already know
because
I'd be the
I
home.
love everybody.
And if you're listening to this right now and it's upset you in any way and you don't agree with that, that's okay, right? We're allowed to disagree. I'm not going to say hurtful things to you. You don't got to say it to us. But you all know where we stand here. And I just want your families to live in a world where we can all just coexist. That is all I wish. I wish the best for your family. I hope you wish the best for mine. And
And
that's-
representation does matter.
Right.
Yes.
Just because somebody's family is different than yours does not mean we should wish nothing but love and blessings.
That's right.
I wish you love and blessings away from my family.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So if there's something that doesn't align with you, wish them the best away from you. You don't have to wish them hard. You don't have to make their life hard. You don't have to do any of that. Just wish them the best away from you. If they don't align with anything in general, just away from me. I wish you the best. Thank you so much. Right. And so I would never wish harm on anyone. I would just say, oh, thank you so much. Have a great day. This is where our paths end.
And that's okay.
And that's okay.
And that is
There's nothing
okay.
wrong
Too
with
many
that.
people in the world to give a shit about people
yes,
who don't.
it is. It is.
But it
yeah.
does matter. That representation does matter. And I think for this young man that's written this letter to you, it makes me think about my feelings with Jaclyn Hill whenever I was younger. And I desperately wanted my mom to approve of me. And Jaclyn was a very, very popular, like we're talking like 2009. She was like the most popular beauty influencer on YouTube. And I would just sit and watch her do her makeup. She taught me how to do a smoky eye and all the thing. My winged eyeliner, like shout out to her. She's the whole reason why I was able to do those things. And I always thought like if my mom comes back, I'm going to be so good at my makeup and she's going to be so impressed that we're like similar in some sort of way. And I found comfort in that moment and being able to, I love that you are that person for somebody that
Yeah.
is like
What you
not
say matters.
sure what the
Yes.
future holds, especially as an 18-year-old kid,
Yes.
a senior, not sure their life is about to begin. They're really about to jump into the deep end. They've been preparing for it for so long and they're like, what is the world going to look like? And they may not have representation in their life and they may not feel comfortable with their parents or around their friends or know how to talk about it out loud. And the fact that they can go to your page and just have one little moment of peace.
I love that so much.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Thank you
I
for
will
bringing
say
us,
that
Jay.
the letter touched me and it was amazing. So thank you so much.
Yeah,
I am
thank
planning to
you.
DM them. I have not because I just didn't know what to say. But
We'll
I
drop
thought
you
it
a
was
link.
Amazing. Yeah, for real. I thought it was amazing. And thank you so much for your letter.
No, thank you. It's opened up a big conversation over here, and
Yeah.
we're thankful.
Not to be too political, but I think
love
you
y'all.
guys obviously know like Jay and I are both gay. So
And I'm their friend.
If you think that we don't support gay people,
Valentina.
ally. Oh, you guys, this was good. This was good.
Yes.
And sometimes hard conversations need to be had and need to be said out loud.
We're not trying to hurt nobody.
No,
None of us
absolutely
are.
not. And I think that's the difference is that I'm not trying to hurt you. I'm just trying to
have no-
exist and protect my friends who
I
exist.
have nothing mean about what I want. I don't want to be mean to anybody, but just know this is where we stand.
Yeah.
But we love you
I'll
If
guys.
you're
throw
listening
punch
to
you if
this
you're
and
mean
you're
to
different
him.
than us, all love and blessings for you and your family.
That's right. That's right. That's
hard
okay.
feelings.
Yes. Well, thank you, Jay. This was such a good
Yeah.
conversation.
Thank you to the person who wrote that in.
Yes,
So
thank you so
vulnerable
much.
and sweet to
Yes, it
share.
was.
Definitely.
Y'all know where to find us every Thursday.
Every Thursday in the same place, babies.
Keep the giggles going.
And the love flowing.
And until next time.
Mom knows best.
Or at least she's trying her best.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Adios.